Why Tyrese Maxey is better than you may think. Tyrese is in the midst of an absolute breakout season, and especially as of late, he's been playing at a very high level of NBA basketball. And if the Philadelphia 76ers are going to win the NBA championship this season, Tyrese is going to play a huge role in that. But quickly before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports. I make opinionative NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. But anyways, let's get into it.
Oh yeah, I work with the medics. I'm about to get you injected. I got a couple connections so I can get you prosthetic.
Tyrese Maxey was drafted with the number 21 overall selection in the 2020 NBA draft by the Philadelphia 76ers. Going into the NBA draft, Tyrese was certainly seen as a very capable scorer, especially at the next level in the NBA, but I don't necessarily think people expected Tyrese to get to the level of NBA basketball that he's playing at currently. In Tyrese Maxey's rookie season in 2020, he was averaging around 8 points per game on 46% shooting from the field, 1.7 rebounds, 2 assists on 15 minutes played per game. And in his rookie season, Tyrese certainly showed some flashes of his great scoring ability and had certain stretches where he couldn't miss a shot and looked like an offensive juggernaut, but the biggest issue with Tyrese Maxey in his rookie season was he wasn't all that consistent. And basically mostly throughout his rookie season, a lot of people saw Tyrese as a very capable scorer in the NBA, but saw him as a nice young role player coming off the bench just to give a little scoring punch. And of course, a lot of people expected Tyrese to improve his game as the years progressed, but I don't necessarily think people expected Tyrese to improve his game to the level that he's playing at currently. This season, Tyrese, as I mentioned, is having an absolute breakout season. He's averaging around 18 points per game on 48% shooting from the field, 3.6 rebounds, and 4.5 assists on 35 minutes played per game. The level of improvement for Tyrese from year 1 to year 2 is absolutely exceptional. Literally every single stat that I mentioned, Tyrese improved significantly, especially his points per game. And that really goes to show the level of effort that this guy puts in during every single practice as well as during the offseason to really work hard individually on his own game. Because I feel like something that we see a lot from young players, especially players that get drafted high in the draft, is maybe they have a ton of natural talent that was able to get them by in high school and also maybe even college if they're that talented. But once they get drafted into the NBA, of course that natural talent is not going to be enough anymore. And I feel like a lot of young players go into the NBA with the mindset that they don't necessarily need to work all that hard and they could rely on their natural talent like they did their entire lives to get by and just be a very good player even at this next level. And of course, players like that, maybe they start out pretty well, but eventually once the NBA starts to figure them out and they don't improve on certain weaknesses they may have, that player's career would eventually start going downhill. But I feel like a guy like Tyrese is the complete opposite. Tyrese, once he got drafted into the NBA, was seen as a good player but not a great player. And Tyrese really was willing to put in all that hard work in order to take his game to the next level. And I think we've really seen the benefit of all that hard work paying off this season for him. Now, of course, Tyrese is still very young, only in his second season, and we would expect him to continuously get better as the seasons progress, but it's just great to see the level of improvement that he's shown from year 1 to year 2. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. But now let's quickly look at a few different reasons for why I personally think Tyrese improved so significantly this year. So the first and most obvious reason, as I touched upon before, is the amount of hard work that he's put in during the offseason. But another reason that I want to touch upon is the experience that Tyrese got not only during the regular season last year, but also especially in the playoffs. Tyrese in the playoffs certainly had a bunch of really good games for the Sixers, and I think his confidence really grew from that. And that really translated into this season and his confidence level going through the roof this year as well. And as I mentioned in a lot of my videos, a player's confidence level is one of the most important things in basketball, and really in any sport, honestly. For example, when a very talented player completely loses all of their confidence, they can be playing well below their actual talent level would suggest. But also vice versa, if a player might not be that talented but has a ton of confidence in themselves and in their game, that player could be playing at a much higher level than their talent level would suggest. And I'm not necessarily saying that I think Tyrese is playing at a much higher level than his talent level would suggest, because I honestly think Tyrese could improve his game significantly long term, which is very scary for the rest of the NBA. But I just kind of wanted to make a point to really illustrate how important a player's confidence level is. Now, the next factor that I wanted to touch upon is the new opportunity that he got this season. So of course, as we all know, Ben Simmons was not playing for the Philadelphia 76ers this season, but what that really provided for players on this team, especially Tyrese Maxey, was a bigger opportunity. And of course, as I mentioned before in the video, in Tyrese's rookie season, he was only averaging around 15 minutes per game, and this season he's averaging around 35 minutes per game. So that kind of shows you the new level of opportunity that Tyrese Maxey has gotten from Ben Simmons not playing this season. Now, of course, James Harden is on the team now, and I guess you can say he's playing a lot of those minutes that Ben Simmons would be playing, which is certainly true, but I think at this point, Tyrese has already gained the confidence of head coach Doc Rivers. So I think the fact that Ben Simmons wasn't on the Sixers at the beginning of the year was actually a blessing for a guy like Tyrese Maxey. But now let's actually talk about Tyrese Maxey's game. What about his game do I think makes him such a good player? So the beauty about Tyrese's game is he's so versatile in terms of his scoring ability. So starting with Tyrese's three-point shooting ability, Tyrese is certainly a very good three-point shooter. He spaces the floor very effectively for guys like James Harden and Joel Embiid to run the pick and roll offense, and of course has a great ability to hit that catch and shoot three-point jump shot. Also from that three-point range, Tyrese clearly has the ability to do a nice little pull-up three-point jump shot, cross over into a three-point shot, sidestep, step back. From that three-point area, Tyrese is just very talented overall. From that mid-range area, Tyrese is also pretty talented, but he doesn't necessarily shoot all that many mid-range jump shots, but of course he has a pretty nice pull-up mid-range jump shot within his game. He also has a really nice floater within his game, which I mentioned in a lot of my videos, but players that play the pick and roll / pick and pop, or really are basically just in the lane a lot, really need to have that floater within their game, because it's just a nice easy shot that they can easily put up when the defense isn't necessarily guarding them all that tightly, and just get some easy points and more efficient baskets as well. And of course, as I mentioned, Tyrese has a great floater within his game. But now talking about his driving and finishing ability, Tyrese is actually very talented at finishing around the basket with crafty layups. He has the ability to finish with either hand, either his left or right hand, and honestly, I think in terms of his driving and finishing ability, he doesn't necessarily get the credit that he deserves from that area. I don't necessarily think people understand how good of a finisher he is once driving all the way to the basket. And the reason why I think Tyrese is such a talented player and has the capability to be a much better player than he is currently going forward is due to how talented he is offensively. And overall, I just think Tyrese Maxey is such a great talent going forward, and I'm just very excited to see what he could do for the Sixers roster, especially once it comes down to the playoffs. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. In your opinion, how good you personally think Tyrese Maxey is. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these two videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out guys.
Oh yeah, I work with the medics. I'm about to get you injected. I got a couple connections so I can get you prosthetics. Hope you can't go around.